Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to the 62nd weekly magazine where we'll be covering from 30th April to 6th May 2018. I didn't want to take up these weekly magazines during your prelims preparation because mostly the questions for your prelims may not come from the weekly magazines which are basically focused on mains. As you're aware, for mains, May, June, July, these areas are very important, and in these weeks you have to identify the important issues and work a lot on these. Now what I'll be doing, one from prelims point of view, whatever is required, some factual data I'll tell, but from mains point of view, I'll take up that issue and I'll try to tell you what all you have to read along with the current affairs. Is that fine? I hope that will help you in preparing for mains and also for prelims next year. So now onwards we will try to do both, and I'll also try to link these topics with other areas. And geography through maps, as you're aware, it is important for us to take up India's map based points as well. So we are coming up with a different course where I will cover weekly current affairs based maps. Rather than waiting till the end, many students actually suggested that if it can be like daily basis, or at least weekly twice or thrice, if you can release the videos with respect to current affairs associated with maps, that would be beneficial. So we'll be doing that also, right? So from now on you will receive lot of videos which will be focused from both mains and prelims as well. So please try to ensure that you are going through these videos carefully, and as I keep repeating, the students whoever had seen all the videos, all the courses and had read that carefully are the one who are in good position today. That is, they are preparing for mains. So I want you people to follow that as well. Fine guys, so let's quickly begin with what are the important issues in this particular week. So every week we used to give essays and few students had stopped writing because of prelims. Now we request you to start writing this again, and those who have not joined the writing course, you can actually join at laex.in/testprep. You have magazine writing series. Yes, so whatever questions we have given, to get it evaluated, you can upload it there so that we can evaluate and get back to you. Is that fine? So every week on the basis of the issues which are there, we will be giving you an essay. Now, next let us take up paper 2, right? In this, we are talking about geography. And in geography, I want you to observe the most important one here, that is the Great Barrier Reef. From last 6 months, there are multiple news articles about coral reefs, and we were all expecting a question about coral reefs, but we didn't know what can be the question. But UPSC has already asked a question in prelims this year about coral reefs. Again, you can see this is continuing. So in paper 1, there is a possibility that you can get a direct question on coral reefs. You may not be surprised if you get a question about the theories of formation of coral reefs as well. UPSC is asking questions at the optional level. So what I'll do, I'll try to make a separate video on the theories of coral reefs this year, and also make a complete video on coral reefs so that it will be easy for you to read this. What I want you people to do from now is, please maintain a small book where we will identify some 100 topics which are very important this year from mains point of view. And you will find at least some 40 questions related to these topics will come. But I can't tell what exactly is the question. So what we'll do, we'll try to read everything associated with that. I hope that would be the easiest way. Right? Now what exactly is this news? The Great Barrier Reef, which is actually present beside Queensland of Australia, is under threat because of climate change, because of El Nino events. Multiple things have actually led to destruction of the Great Barrier Reef. One most important thing which has led to the problem is coral eating crown of thorns starfish. This starfish has actually, it opens up and tries to consume the coral reefs. It usually makes it liquefied and then starts consuming it. This is one of the predator of the coral reefs, and the Australian government has taken measures to kill these specifically so that their impact will be less, and they are also dependent on the coral reefs. So we usually see this in between. This starfish is also in between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. So that is another factual data that you should be aware. So within the tropical waters, coral reefs will be present. So this starfish will also be present in that region significantly. And then when we talk about the third one, heavy use of coal-fired power, especially when you look at Australia, right? If you look at the eastern side of Australia, you get Great Barrier Reef, and usually you observe southeast trade winds blowing in this region. As the winds blow from sea to land in this region is good in vegetation, and this region also has coal. Okay, in Australia. So this coal is closer to what we call as the Great Barrier Reef, which is present here. So this coal-fired power plants and all, when they release the effluents and all, they are also affecting the coral reefs. So these are some of the major issues. Along with that, here they try to say that the number of people in Australia is very less. If you take up Australia as a continent, the land area and all, from geography optional point of view also, when we observe, we say that the eastern part of Australia, where the rainfall and all are more, population is usually more. But on the western side, where usually you have deserts, population is very less in Australia. So we are trying to say that when we consider the amount of carbon dioxide released by Australia, it is more compared to the population. So we say that per capita greenhouse polluter, who? Australia. Why? It is emitting more carbon dioxide than the number of people who are actually present. So if you consider India, you have 1 billion population. Australia is very less. So if you look at the carbon dioxide emitted by India and Australia and divided by the number of people, you usually observe that Australia emits more. So this is what this argument says. So these are the statements UPSC may ask you as well. So please be prepared. And then we are talking about the next most important thing, that is Lake Victoria. The spelling is not correct here. Lake Victoria. Usually whenever we talk about Victoria Lake or so, I ask students where it is present. Most of it believe that it is in North America, but no, it is in Africa. Lake Victoria, it is almost closer to the equator, right? And there are certain species in Lake Victoria which is under threat. So if you look at some of the freshwater species, as it is present inside, we call it as a freshwater lake, and these are endemic. The meaning of, what is the meaning of endemic? Endemic means present only in Lake Victoria, not in other places. To East Africa's Lake Victoria basin. Okay, so what is the meaning of basin? So whenever we talk about rivers, in rivers, basin means the major river along with the tributaries comes into picture. But when I talk about the lake, so if you have a lake and if any river comes and enters into it, this portion, lake along with the rivers is actually called as basin. So this is another important fact that we need to know. Right? Then a fresh report backed by IUCN assessed the extinction risk of 651 freshwater species like fish, mollusk, dragonflies, crabs, aquatic plants. Several of these freshwater species are usually present, but they are also under threat. So this is what you want to know. Right? So along with this, from geography point of view, map based question can be which of the following countries has boundary with Lake Victoria. So can you see Uganda, Can you see Kenya? And you can also observe Tanzania, right? High possibility you may get a question. And can you see equator? Yes, equator is passing through these. So very, very important. Yes. So from prelims point of view, some art and culture based dance forms which may be asked. Yangli festival, this is of Karbi Anglong. Okay, where is it present? This is present in Assam, closer to Nagaland. Okay, so many Nagas usually claim that this Karbi Anglong belongs to them. So you should be aware that Yangli festival is associated with Karbi Anglong, Assam, not Nagaland. Okay. You are also aware that Government of India under Ministry of Tourism actually are promoting certain programs like Prasad and all, where the main ambition of this program is to ensure that, like some places which have religious significance is covered. In one such form, what we have is known as the Krishna Circuit. The Krishna Circuit means we are talking about the temples and the places where Lord Krishna, most important temples are there, and people usually visit these places differently. Now when I say Krishna Circuit, if you can go to ask for Krishna Circuit, you can take a single ticket where you can visit all the temples which are closer by and which have the prominence of Lord Krishna. So you can see what are the places. Dwarka in Gujarat, so this can be asked in geography optionals and also in prelims. I want you to locate the places. Dwarka, Gujarat, Jaipur, Sikar, Kurukshetra, Mathura, Vrindavan, Nandgaon, Gokul, Barsana, Govardhan, all these in Uttar Pradesh, Puri in Odisha. So all these will be covered when we talk about Krishna Circuit. How many destination? 12 destination. And what is the program about? Swadesh Darshan. Right? It is a theme based tourist circuit. What is the meaning of theme based? So if I talk about Ram temple, so wherever Ram temples are there, we'll try to cover. Buddhas, then you try to cover the places where Buddhism has its prominence. Similarly, when we are talking about Krishna Circuit, it will have focus only on the Krishna, and the scheme is completely 100% funded by the central government, and they are also asking the corporates to give money from the corporate social responsibility. This is one of the major problem that we are seeing. Corporate social responsibility, almost any scheme of the government is becoming unsuccessful, mainly because the funding is usually linked to corporate social responsibility, and these people are busy in giving money to political parties and other things as well. So schemes also, when you are connecting it with corporate social responsibility, it is becoming bit difficult. So the next issue which is important from international relations point of view is actually about India, Pakistan to come together, and they are participating in the war games. You might have heard of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and initially it was known as the Shanghai 5. The main ambition of Shanghai 5 was to cover China and Russia through the Central Asian countries. Later Uzbekistan and now India and Pakistan have become full-fledged members of this. As Russia is part of it near Ural mountains, China is actually planning to bring all these countries and establish what we usually call as some war games. And this is considered to counter NATO by few people, but that is not true, mainly because India and Pakistan are together and these two cannot be in one military zone. Second important thing, India, China is not in good terms, Russia is not good terms in China. Usually we feel that Russia is having good relations with China, but that is not the case where they can come together and establish something like NATO. Let's wait and see for that particular aspect. As of now, you should be aware under SCO, India and Pakistan is actually coming together where they are fighting, like, trying to fight against terror activities. Like, if terrorist attacks happen, how should these countries counter? So, like, it's a very novel thing where India and Pakistan will work together to find, like, how exactly terrorists will attack and how we should counter them. Having Pakistan will be always good because you will be getting some good information how are they planning to attack, right? So, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it was found in 2001, very, very important. Russia, China, Kyrgyz, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Earlier it was Shanghai 5, we are talking about Shanghai Cooperation Organization. India and Pakistan were both admitted as full-time members now, right? Now they are full-time members, not before. The next issue that we need to cover is about the draft National Digital Communication Policy. Yes, and the major aim of this policy is to ensure that, like, the Digital India and other digital based schemes of the government is implemented successfully. And they have three major missions to be achieved by 2022, and these major aims are: Connect India, under which it aims to create robust digital communications, right, where it is possible to communicate across rural to rural, urban to rural and also urban to urban. There shouldn't be any inequality about the distribution of digital effectivity, right? And then Propel India, under which government aims to harness the power of emerging digital technologies. That is, whatever new digital technologies are coming up, that we need to harness. Which are the new things that are coming? You have 5G, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. You might have heard of Internet of Things in the question paper. So what is it? So it will try to, like, link each of your activity in such a way that it will keep reminding you what you need to do. So if you just set an alarm, not just waking you up, but it will also try to ensure that, like, all your activities are automated. So this will take time, but India has to be ready, because the software and other services, if India can provide, then it will be another big market for the jobs. Right? Secure India, which aims to safeguard the digital sovereignty of India. You might have heard about the Facebook and other issues where right to privacy is again in news, where the Facebook and others are getting the data. So government is also thinking about the open data policy. Multiple things are coming up when it comes to data. But remember, the draft policy tries to talk about the digital sovereignty, where when we talk about the data, the security and who has the authority over that particular data, where crores of people's information is actually present, that will be the sovereign right of India. This is what it tries to talk about. The meaning of this is protect the data in such a way that only under the authorization of Indian government the data can be used and others cannot be used. This is the reason why Aadhaar is not used full-fledged today, because there is no particular precautions that have been taken to protect it. Once this can be achieved, then you can use Aadhaar freely. Right? Now when you look at the key features, one of the main feature of any scheme in India is to create jobs. So you can see that here one of the main ambition is to create 4 million additional jobs in the digital communication sector, apart from enhancing the contribution of the digital communication sector to 8%. Right? One important thing is, when we look at the GDP and other thing, the digital communication sector's contribution is less. Now it is less than 6%, we have to increase it to 8%. See guys, whenever UPSC asks you what are the key features which are present in the draft policy and what is the aim, what is the figures that you expect. So usually this 8% may be made 10% or 12%. At that time you may forget. So please note it carefully. Their aim is to make it 8%. Right? Now When we talk about data protection, as I told you, it's very important for us to ensure that data is protected so that the people are also confident about the system in place. Next, you have National Broadband Mission, where the government's aim is to go for 5 million public Wi-Fi spots by 2020. Another simple thing that you can see now is in major railway stations they are planning for the Wi-Fi hotspots, and in few places they are working as well. But this has to be improved so that when the public Wi-Fi connectivity increases, the broadband services, whenever it increases, you can increase the number of people in digital India. You can also see recently, like in the Wi-Fi which was provided in Kerala, an aspirant had cleared the exam. So whenever we see something of that sort, digital India, or when we talk about studies online, open-ended courses and all this will get a boost if these becomes easier. Nowadays, because of the availability of internet at a cheaper cost, yes, this has been possible, but as it is already cheaper, why can't government provide it for free, at least in few areas, which can help the poorest of the poor. Second important thing, fiber first initiative, where the optical fiber will be given status of public utility. That means it is used for public facility. So once you make that, it would be easy to procure it at a lower cost, and also it would be easy to put wherever you want it. And the third important thing, like if you take the case of infrastructure, especially associated with sewage and all, so the government has the right to dig and pass it. Similarly, when it comes to cables as well, when they start calling it as a status of public utility, then the advantage of this public utility is they can put it across the country so that digital connectivity can be improved. Infrastructure convergence, several ministries are actually working. All these ministries have to be brought together. Investments has to be brought together. That is what we see. Boost to investments, we are looking at Universal Service Obligation Fund and many other fees. If we can bring all these, then it would be easy for us to achieve 100% digital effectivity in the country, right? So the next important issue that we need to see is food first. So what is more important? The most important thing for the government, whether it is central, state, panchayats or anyone, is to ensure that good food is actually provided for the children and parents, so that there is proper control over infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, right, and also reduction in the stunted growth and all. So the main focus of this is to ensure that hot cooked meals is provided on time, right, rather than going for giving some medicines or giving some other things. We should not replace hot cooked meals, because there are some proposals where people are telling that it is becoming difficult to maintain, so we should not go for this. Rather than this, we should give some money or give some supplements or something else, but there is no substitute for the hot cooked meals, is what certain administrators are arguing. Next, a simple issue where the Supreme Court has actually told High Court to set up panels so that they monitor the POSCO Act. Is it fine? That is, whenever the trial is going, so there should be panels which will monitor whether these are going or they are following certain guidelines which the Supreme Court has actually told, right? These are all covered, no need to worry much. So the next issue is actually about the DNA profiling bill, which the government is planning to introduce after Supreme Court has actually told it multiple times to do that. See, we have some bodies which are unidentified. We have some bodies which are not claimed, right? Whenever you have such bodies, then you should have a DNA profile of those people, so that in future if someone comes and asks you, like, we are the real heirs of these particular people, then you will be in a position to establish the relationship through DNA profiling. And the government has said that whatever DNA profiling is being made, you have to keep this DNA profiling secure, and only certain organizations which the government will tell is authorized only can use, others cannot use it. And whenever you are using it, it should be used only to say that yes, this individual is this particular person. That is, if you want to identify a particular person, you should use the DNA, it shouldn't be used for other purposes. So there are certain things which are kept in the bill. Once the bill becomes an act, it becomes important for us, because whenever it enters into the session, there may be certain modifications that can be made, but follow this carefully. Very, very important area. So if you look at the highlights, the bill proposes to allow collection of samples from private parts of the human body for DNA profiling and data preservation with the approval of a regulatory body. So there should be a body which will ensure that all this is being protected. Again, can you see, data protection has become very, very important. It suggests that a national DNA profiling board and a national DNA bank be set up in Hyderabad, with every state will have one headquarters where all these data will be stored. And right, the data bank would maintain record samples found at crime scenes, not only of the people or victims, but also of the perpetrators, from suspects, offenders, missing persons, volunteers, etc. The bill also makes it clear that no DNA laboratory shall undertake DNA profiling without the permission of the board. If a foreign country requests DNA profiling, then through CBI or concerned department you have to give. The bill mandates that DNA profiles or samples be kept confidential, and they should not be used only for establishing identity, as I have given already. Why I am reading it each one is to ensure that if these points are given, you will be in a position to say that yes, these are part of the bill. Government investigation agencies and judiciary, among others, can seek information from the data banks. So these are some of the points that you need to know. Last year, the Law Commission has also said that we should try to provide some bill forms so that you can go for usage of DNA to establish some, like unidentified people, and also can solve certain cases. I have told you multiple times about the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which starts from Kashgar and passes through the Karakoram mountain ranges into Islamabad, Lahore, and then enters into Gwadar port, which is actually present in the Baluch region. A very, very important one. We have seen multiple times, Kashgar to Gwadar, and as it is passing through India and they have not taken permission from this, this has become a major irritant between India and China. So there was a national conference to review the progress of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So it's important. The scheme was launched in 2015. The scheme is targeted at improving the child sex ratio. Okay, not total sex ratio, child sex ratio through multi-sectoral interventions, including prevention of gender-biased sex selection and promoting girls' education and her holistic empowerment. It is a tri-ministerial effort. So the three ministries which are involved here are Women and Child Development, Health and Family Welfare, HRD. Very, very important. Each one line can be asked, right? So it is implemented in few. There is an intention to spread it across the country and work on this effectively. And the next issue is about the Umang app, which is in news because multiple departments are using it. Earlier, every department had its own app. People were not downloading anything. Now you had one single app, that is Umang app, where the EPFO and all others are integrating into this so that you can directly get the pension and other things. So it is actually developed by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and National E-Governance Division. So again, this is another important area that you need to see. So the next important issue is actually about the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, where the aim is to ensure that it is not going to be a threat to other bodies like ADB, World Bank, New Development Bank and many others. The ADB president had welcomed the formation of AIIB and has said that it can cooperate and it is not a threat at all. And if we look at ADB, right, it was formed on 22nd August 1966 and its headquarters is in Philippines. Japan has the highest percentage of voting share, followed by United States and others, right? So people usually think that it is completely of Japan's, not completely. Like, major share voting rights is on the basis of how much money you keep. Japan has the major voting rates, so it is similar to the World Bank itself. And then when we see, Japan has 15.67 and United States has 15.56. So can you see? It's not huge difference. China has 6.47 and India has 6.36. And the board of governors are the highest policy making bodies who actually decide, like, which program should be given money and all. India's certain projects get money from the ADB, right? A very, very important organization. Now many people felt that this is a project which has to be countered and China is coming up with AIIB, but China is working independently, where the focus of AIIB is for one belt, one road. International relations, if we go in detail, we'll be spending more time on this itself. As I have promised, we'll come up with the series on international relations within next week. Now, when you talk about AIIB, it is headquartered in Beijing, started working in 2016 and has now 86 approved members, right? What is the most important work of this? They invest in sustainable infrastructure and other productive sectors. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank will better connect people, services and markets that over time will have impact over millions and billions of life. The next important and the last one in this particular paper is about the Namami Gange program, right? The most important one is we are trying to use the GIS technology for the rejuvenation of Ganga. So it is being monitored at the national level, state level and local level, right? The project is now using digital elevation model technology, which ensures accurate data collection, especially when you are planning, like, how much sewage is entering, which are the villages, what are the uses, all these critical hotspots where you have certain species, and if you make any projects, what is the impact of this, that is environmental impact assessment of the project. All this is being done with the help of Namami Gange program, right? And the states, 5 major basins are Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar, West Bengal, where the Ganga, main stream of Ganga is actually moving. So this is the area where they are planning to see, and the implementation is done through national mission and the state program. The next important issue that we need to see is about AFSPA. It will continue in Nagaland. This is the word of Rijiju. Yes, so what is the meaning of AFSPA? The Armored Forces Special Power Act was actually introduced to ensure that when the state police forces, paramilitary forces, especially Assam Rifles, were not in a position to protect its territory. That is, when the Naga forces actually fought against the police forces could not fight effectively. Then came Assam Rifles, even they could not. Then the army was called. Army at that time said that we cannot work under these rules and regulations which you will set. If we identify that a particular person is involved in anti-national activities, we should have the authority to question him. And if our soldiers try to blast certain areas which are actually used by the terrorists for hiding and all, then that cannot be questioned in the court of law. We will actually establish, the courts of the military itself, and the military will decide whether that particular action is right or wrong. So there were some sweeping powers given to army to ensure that these territories are under our control. Else, we had observed that some areas, especially in Nagaland and Northeast, they were ruled according to the local rules and regulations which the insurgency organizations at that time captured and ruled. So they captured certain area and said that this is a separate country. They went for plebiscite and also said that we are separate country, because 90% of the people have actually agreed that they don't want to be part of what we call as India today. At that time, I'm talking about 1950s, 1960s. At that time, the central government understood that this cannot be controlled, mainly because these people have support from Pakistan, which was present on the eastern side as well at that time. So India, analyzing the scenario, requested the army to enter with some sweeping powers, and that powers are known as the Armed Forces Special Power Act. This is present in almost all the northeastern states. And now, once the insurgency has reduced and few areas are calm completely, where insurgency is not repeated, in those areas the government is thinking of removing the AFSPA, because the people are not happy with AFSPA, as army rule is not good for any people. So they were not happy, but wherever we observed that the insurgency has completely reduced from those areas, they are removing. So there was a question now that as most of the political parties in Nagaland, which were earlier going for insurgency, have participated in elections. So can we expect removal of this AFSPA? But if you see, there is an organization by name NSCN Kaplang. And this organization is still fighting, but they are in ceasefire. That's it. They have said that we won't, because we are willing to talk. And if India withdraws its army at this time, this is a good opportunity for them to attack and control. Once they capture, it would be very difficult for us to take it back, because when we try to take it back, there will be killing of many innocent people as well. So all these are important when we talk about AFSPA in Nagaland. And guys, this is your internal security topic, a very, very important issue. UPSC keeps asking about this once in a while. AFSPA is very, very important. The facts about it is given here. And then you are aware that India has actually achieved 100% rural electrification. But when we look at the definition of electrification, right, the power ministry has said that there is no need to change. First, let us know what is the meaning of electrified villages. The meaning of that is, it counts a village as electrified if at least 10% of its households have an electricity connection. It is not 100% of the households. How much? Only if 10% of the households had electricity connection, we used to call it as electrified. The meaning of this was, see, if you have 10% of the houses electrified, the meaning of that is the grid, from the grid you have certain lines reaching the village. So this is the aim of the central government. Now from this 10% to make it 100%, they actually thought that it is the responsibility of the DISCOMs and the state government. Now as government is providing some free equipments and all, it is planning to ensure this 100% household electrification as well. As of now, the government is saying that we need not change the definition. And as you can see, they have set a target of 100%. Here, we need to talk about the cost of pollution. You know that as a country moves from least developed country status to developing country and then moves towards developed country. Okay, these are the three stages. In this stage, pollution will be more, but if you consider the overall pollution globally, it will be very, very less. And in this stage, developed stages, they will try to ensure that pollution is less, because they will have good technologies to ensure that they are not emitting much pollutants, and they will be moving towards environmentally sustainable policies. This is the stage. Developing countries is the stage when usually they emit more, because they are moving from least developed country status to developed country status, and this is a transition stage. And in the transition stage, what happens? As you are moving from this stage to developed country stages, right? What is going to happen? Most of the technologies that you usually use are of the least developed country. Okay, the technology that you are using is of the least developed, but the amount of electricity that you are consuming is of the range of developed countries. So what is happening? You are going for more electricity production, which will emit more pollutants. So this is what we observe. For this to analyze, you have something known as environmental Kuznets curve hypothesis, which says that in the initial stages of economic growth, when more resources are used, there will be more waste generation and more emissions. But when a country has achieved certain level of development, pollution reduces with greater protection of the environment. Why? Technological improvements will be there, diversification of the economy will be there. Manufacturing stage, you will be a more pollutant. Once you move towards services where internet and other things comes into picture, pollutant or pollution reduces. So these are some of the points that we try to say when we talk about pollution, right? The next most important thing is about a Delhi High Court judgment with respect to Monsanto, where the Monsanto has actually come up with Bollgard 2 patent. It is saying that this variety will be given to the companies, and the companies whichever will use this has to pay to Monsanto. Okay, and the companies, what they will do? The company has a seed already. Now it will take the variety of seed from the Monsanto. They will try to go for a biological process where whatever important things are present in the hybrid variety will be transformed to this particular seed. I hope you understand. I'll just repeat. So what I'm trying to say here, if you just consider Monsanto has come up with a variety of seed which is in a position to counter certain insecticides and pesticides. Now this variety will be used by the seed company. They will try to go for biological processes where the hybrid variety, whatever best quality is there, will be transferred to the seed. Now the seed will acquire the properties of both their traditional one and also Monsanto's one, and the farmers, when they use it, they will be benefited. Earlier what used to happen, if farmer purchases only Monsanto, then only they are going to get the advantage. Now they are saying that you purchase the local variety itself, but the local variety will have the Monsanto's patency, so that the Monsanto will be earning money. But the Delhi High Court has said that this transfer of hybrid or mutation, if you are talking, it is actually a biological process or a normal process. Even if Monsanto is not giving it, right, if one farm is using it and the other farm is using the variety, let me take one farm is using the variety of produced by the company and the other farm is using Monsanto, through biological processes, that is through birds, many other things, we will usually observe that there will be mutation and the seeds over a period of time will acquire. Why should we give patency for that? But you should be aware that to produce the hybrid, Monsanto has spent the money. And this hybrid variety, if it is not mutated properly, then the farmers may not be in a position to earn enough income. And in outside conditions, when there is mutation, there is a possibility that the proper gene mutation doesn't occur, and this may have negative impacts as well, because we can never say that this is the final result when different patents actually meet. And the fourth most important thing is the Monsanto will tell to the seed companies that which is the particular gene that they have to transfer and what are the benefits of that. All this will not be provided. So considering that it's just a biological phenomena and not giving patent is not good, because if you don't give patents, then the companies will not be interested in coming back and investing in other research areas where the food security has to be protected, is what the article actually argues. Is that fine? So here I am trying to say that when we consider the seed and the variety, right? So here, rather than going for this, if there is an agreement between the seed company and the Monsanto directly that a part will be paid, that would be better. But Monsanto is scared that this technology can easily spread and any company will start using this technology easily. So that is why Monsanto is a bit skeptic in going for personal agreements. If they get the patents that is required, then it would be easy for it to sue any company which will use without its permission. So there is an FDA confidence index which has come up, right, which is actually released by A.T. Kearney. It's an annual survey which tracks impact of likely political, economic and regulatory changes. That is, a country whether it is stable or not. So they have a policy today, will it be same or it is going to change tomorrow? All these facts will be usually given through the FDI confidence index. India is performing better. It is ranked 11th, right? But it is down 3 from overall in the last year. Yes. And the last important area that we need to see is from science and technology, and also geography, optional geography, wherever you want you can use it. Getting water wise on the farm. The meaning of this is, here they want to ensure that whatever water is coming to the farm, it has to be used effectively and in a limited fashion. If you look at paddy, rice and sugarcane, these are water consuming crops in India, and wherever they are grown in these regions, we usually observe that like the procurement of the water is more, groundwater, like canal water, anything you see, everything is being affected because of this, whether it is Karnataka, Tamil Nadu issue with respect to Kaveri, whether groundwater is reducing in Punjab, anywhere if we observe. One of the major problems is with growing of certain crops which consumes more water. Whenever they consume more water, let's take the case of paddy and sugarcane. As they consume more water, Indian government also provides a MSP, right? And it is also a staple crop. So if you see all these factors, growing this is good for the farmers and farmers are utilizing this. Now there is a report or a study going on where they are saying that more than 50 to 60% is used by water consuming crops, and by effective measures, if we can reduce water consumption for these crops, then India will not face water scarcity. This is what we try to understand. I hope it's clear. Yes, so here we are trying to say that paddy farmers in Punjab need thrice the amount of irrigation water used by farmers in Bihar to produce 1 kilogram of rice, because the amount of rainfall in Punjab is usually less when it comes to rainfall in Bihar, right? So these are some of the facts that we have given. Apart from that, what is more important for us is gravity rat, a malware which is usually used by the Pakistani hackers. So UPSC has started giving, like they will give some names and ask you what it is. So gravity rat is a malware usually used by Pakistan and other to usually detect what is working in the Indian computer systems, and Indian CERT various times has detected this usage and has tried to protect our systems from these malware. Is this fine? See guys, from now on, as I have clearly told you, wherever it is factual, I'll tell you immediately that it is factual. Wherever it is mains oriented, we will go in detail and analyze that. Is that fine? And at last, I want you to see the case that has been given, right, with respect to ethics. Try to write the case study. We'll try to discuss in coming weeks the answers for these case studies as well. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.